back at the beginning of the century, an astronomer named Carl Shaw decided to try to date a passage in the Odyssey that has been interpreted by many since classical times as being a description of an eclipse. It's a little bit of a difficult passage to try to interpret as an eclipse because the passage takes place indoors and the suitors who are supposed to be seeing this omen do not see it. But otherwise the description of an eclipse by a seer is very vivid. And so Carl Shaw tried to date this eclipse, and he found that the only possible date would have been April 16, 1178 BC, which would agree rather well with classical estimates of the fall of Troy around 1190 BC, okay? Plus the 10 years it takes for Odysseus to go back. We took this and we said, okay, if this is the only evidence that you find in the Odyssey, it's just a so-so story, right? You can't, it's neither here or there, right? What are you gonna do? You can't corroborate it by any means just looking at the eclipse. However, in the Odyssey, there's plenty of other references to things that happen in the sky. There's a reference to Odysseus navigating by the stars, there's a reference to seeing Venus high in the sky, and so what we did was we set aside the eclipse reference and we just took the rest of the other references. And looking at all those other references, we found that because each one of them happens frequently, but in combination, all four of them would happen very rarely, we were able to say that the only date compatible with these other references was also April 16, 1178 BC. So this gives us what we believe is a fully independent confirmation that on that date might be a date that's actually inscribed in the Odyssey. Yes, so the eclipse being described would be a total solar eclipse lasting a few minutes, as they typically do, and the narrative takes place at noon. So that's an important datum. Total solar eclipses are very short and they are seen over a very small swath of the Earth. Because the size of the moon and the size of the sun are, the apparent size of the moon and the sun are so nearly identical that when the moon covers the sun, you have to be exactly at one given position and it doesn't last very long. So the description would be compatible with a total solar eclipse. The description says that it happens at noon. Indeed, the 16th April 1178 BC eclipse happened close to noontime local time over the Ionian Islands. So, yeah. In addition, that particular eclipse would have been pretty impressive because you had all of the planets, all of the visible naked eye planets, all of them simultaneously in the sky in a relatively small fraction of the sky as the eclipse happened. So it would have been a pretty impressive phenomenon.